It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is... Houston, AOS over.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the TKW Podcast. I am Matt Spendley, and I'm joined tonight by Kyle Maggio.
What's going on, guys?
And Anthony Corbo.
The one and only.
Fellas, how about them Knicks?
We did it!
Listen, I don't mean to be overdramatic here, but the Knicks are the best team in basketball.
Yes, they are. Fucking A, man.
Warriors are on watch, officially.
Yo, Frank Ntilikina, the best small forward in the league.
Did you guys get any PR notifications of when that Allonzo Trier statue was going to go up in front of the Garden?
Yeah,
I'm
pretty
weeks.
sure. Yeah, I think before the next game they were saying.
Okay.
Has to.
Yeah.
Has to.
Yeah, he's looking at the documents, the blueprints now, and he's gonna get back to them.
I've heard they're uprooting Penn Station just to put the statue in. Penn Station's already in bad enough shape. They're just going to put it all to hell just to have the Trier statue in.
You know, that's a bold decision, but I respect it. I respect it. He deserves it.
So let's pull back for a second and talk about the game in general before we really focus on Trier. So the Knicks win their debut game, 126-107 over the Atlanta Hawks, led by 31, 6 and 5 from Tim Hardaway Jr., a double-double from Enes Kanter, a double-double from Noah Vonleh, and Trey Burke with 15, and Allonzo Trier with 15. So in a well-rounded scoring game from these Knicks, a 49-point second quarter, the most points the Knicks have ever scored in a second quarter in their franchise, and the second most they've ever scored in a quarter, period. Put simply, you couldn't imagine a better way to kick the season off. So, Ant, why don't you give us some initial thoughts on the 1-0 New York Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously to start it all off, we got to give it up for Tim Hardaway Jr. I think, for me and I think a lot of other fans, Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of the biggest question marks I've had going into the season. Just like, is he really going to be able to define his spot in the starting lineup this year, or is somebody, are they going to pass up on him for, matchup reasons, or is somebody going to pass him in the depth chart or something like that? But tonight he came out, he showed himself to be pretty dominant. He was getting to the rim when he wasn't making shots. He was putting up threes. He was not hesitant at all. He started to kind of cool off a little bit in the early third quarter, brought himself back, and had a really, really solid opening part of the season. So, yeah.
I think what I liked the most was that he shot a lot, but he wasn't chucking, if that makes sense. Like, these weren't your normal Timmy chucks from last year where he's shooting off balance, his feet aren't set, he's fading from side to side. A lot of what he did tonight was either he was like driving straight in, or he was more or less set. Like, he was using his screens well. He was getting his feet under himself. So that's what we spoke about a lot in the summertime, was he could have a breakout year if he just simply stopped shooting shit shots. And he mostly did that and played well in transition.
The first, I think, 3 or 4 shots, I was like, oh my God, we're in for just a vintage Tim Hardaway Jr. game where he's just frustrating. But my God, that stretch he had there. I'll continue to say this all season, and I loved seeing it tonight. Use him in the pick and roll, because he's a more dynamic scorer than anyone else they're going to use, because he's so much more of a threat. So Trey Burke is a better passer, obviously, and can maybe slither around a pick a little easier than Hardaway. But Hardaway as a threat from deep, he's not an easy guy to defend in that pick and roll scenario. And we saw tonight, he had 5 assists. So we know it's something he can do. We know it's something that he had in his repertoire. So it's something that the Knicks should really start to utilize more. If they're going to be paying this guy and him going to be the starter, then this is what it should be. And please, I've said it all summer. I'm saying it again right now. This should solidify anything. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the starting shooting guard as long as he's healthy. Do not consider any other options. Please do not. I don't want to see anything else talked about. Please.
I will say this too. We talked a lot about his shooting percentages. Did you take a look at his percentages tonight?
Yes.
So we spoke at length about what an improvement he would have to make, right? So he shot 42% last year from the field. So
Yes.
he shot 45.5% tonight from the field, and
that is just a gorgeous. Like, sign me up for that all day, every day.
Right,
Yeah,
right. But
he was well above 50% for most of the game too.
Right. And he, again, like I think Matt said, you said he cooled off at the end a little bit, but even his 3-point percentage, like this isn't anything to go crazy about, but it's a percentage and a half almost higher than he shot last year, 33.3 some odd percent. So,
and just to kind of top off that, you look at he had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals tonight too. Some of those assists were beautiful. There was that one in the lane to Canner with the where he just dunked it home after that. Like, he really just had a great grasp on the game tonight. I think he's really starting to come into his veteran form.
Also got to the line 8 times for what it's worth, which is good. So just a fantastic game from Timmy, and also from his other lock in the starting lineup, Enes Kanter. 16 and 11, 3 assists. He had a really nice look to Mario Hezonja, who had a great game to end. That's perfect Hezonja time. Let him cook when the game's kind of already out of order, and the Knicks had already solidified it away. But we saw the 2 linchpins of this starting lineup, for better or for worse. Most of the season it will be for worse, because the Knicks are still not going to be a great team. But Hardaway and Kanter set the tone tonight from the get-go, and they're 2 guys that the Knicks are going to have to rely on this year, if only because this is such a young roster that has so much growing to do.
No, we knew they were going to eat. Yeah, I mean, especially Kanter. We knew Kanter was going to eat. We figured Timmy was going to get his shots anyway, but we were unsure of the distribution. If Frank was supposed to get more shots, if Knox was going to get a bunch of looks, which he did, and didn't do a whole lot with tonight. But we knew that, all summer we knew Kanter was going to be a walking double-double, and we figured there was going to be an uptick in points. So, I mean, they both came out and did exactly what we expected them to do. Timmy a little bit more, but yeah. Knox kind of stunk tonight, huh?
A tough game from Knox. Tough effort, but
there was moments where he looked a little bit confident, but he definitely just looked stuck out there.
I said it. 16 shots. He was 4 of 16, but we saw the aggressiveness. He relies too much on that mid-range, and his problem is when he gets around the hoop, he has nothing. Like, he has no sort of there's no layers to his game. He has no
doesn't know
tricks
where
up
he's
his
got to
sleeve.
be yet. He just has no idea where he's supposed to be on the court. He has no idea what his role is going to be in the NBA. He doesn't know, what he should be doing at this stage in his rookie career, which is game 1, obviously.
I will say this, though. I just kind of, and you guys can tell me if you disagree, but this kind of inefficient game seemed different than, like, the last 3. Like, I feel like the last 3, he was trying to charge a little bit too hard and really try to make something happen at the rim, or, like, trying to draw on contact. Tonight, it felt like he got a lot of mostly open looks, and a lot of stuff just wasn't falling. Like, and I'm not saying it was like night and day difference in terms of his looks, but I just felt like that part was an improvement, and it just wasn't falling. Because my big issue wasn't so much with that as it was with the, ineffectiveness across the board elsewhere. There was
I agree that he had some decent shots tonight, or he got to good positioning tonight, but I don't think his shooting looked good. I think that's the big difference. Like, it wasn't just that his shots weren't falling. I thought his shot looked weird altogether. And I thought he was getting to his spots well, and they were finding him in the offense. But he just needs to get more confident with his shot.
That's what I mean. Mostly like his looks, like not so much his actual shot or anything to do with that, but like the looks he was getting, I thought were better than the last couple of nights, and it just wasn't, for whatever reason, dropping tonight.
I think that's true, because we saw him miss some open jumpers, and he had some threes that were, decent looks, and he was 1 of 5 from 3. But
he also just resorted to the floater way too much, and that's a telling sign of someone who's just really not confident with their shot.
It's a huge part of his game, and it was at Kentucky, and it's going to be in the NBA. But sure, you can get over-reliant on it. He doesn't have the confidence around the rim yet, and that's why you'll see him resort to the mid-range. It's just he's puking up these 18 to 20-foot jumpers, and it's the last thing that you would want in an NBA offense in 2018. And he did it at Kentucky too. So it's something he's going to have to shed. And it's something that I hope the coaching staff continues to hammer home for him, because the Knicks did end up shooting 33 threes tonight, although a lot of those did come when the game was kind of out of hand from Hezonja. So I don't think we can really look into that all that much, because at one point they were more like 17 out of, 55. So what we're going to see from the team is what we saw tonight, I think. We saw Hardaway shoot 9 threes. I was really happy to see Trey Burke knock down 2 threes. Burke actually had a great game, too. I don't know if we'll get around to talking much about him, but he was good. What else did you guys see? What else did we take away from game number 1?
I'm mad that Knox did nothing on the boards.
Yeah, no rebounds, no assists. So low in the peripheries, 2 steals, but...
Yeah, but really, obviously, I'm still enamored with Allonzo Trier. And he didn't even play a ton of garbage time. It was a lot of some meaty minutes there, and I think he did really well. Obviously,
the dunk. Did you see the dunk? Have you seen the dunk?
It was unbelievable. It was unreal.
Hopefully, we can replace the Starks dunk because we need something new. We need something fresh. But no, I mean,
at least they won.
He's exciting, man. I mean, every time we keep trying to like temper our expectations, like okay, undrafted, small sample size, whatever, and then he just does more of this, and he didn't even just hit his shots or contribute in scoring. I mean, he also, for a guard, 4 rebounds is nothing to scoff at either. So I just really like what I'm seeing from him, man. I just think there's really a need for that kind of. We were hoping for like Burke to be that instant offense off the bench. So if Trier could be that guy most of the time, I get why you would start Burke. I don't know. I really am enjoying this Trier ride right now.
Well, you know what my biggest takeaway from Trier and Ron Baker playing 27 minutes is that Emmanuel Mudiay is done. I don't see how, when he comes back from an injury, he fits into this rotation at all. Unless he's taking over those
couple of minutes away from Baker, man. He looked so bad tonight.
Do you think it's an injury? Do you think it's an injury or do you think it's an injury?
I know.
It's an injury. I said, why would they hold him out? What's the point?
That's a good question.
What's the motive? I don't understand.
Why would they?
I have no idea. No motive makes any sense.
I kind of think it is an injury. When did he get hurt? We didn't hear.
At practice.
I don't think it's an injury with a wink, because it's like Fizdale wants to play him still a little bit. Like he would I don't think he has a problem with just putting him at the end of the bench instead of like marking him injured. What good does it do to him to like make him inactive?
That's how I feel. Kyle, why do you think they're winking it then?
I don't know. I don't have a valid, legit reason that you're ever going to believe, but I think they're just trying to buy time for whatever reason. I don't know if they need more time to make a roster decision. I don't know if they have something up their sleeve. I don't know, but it just didn't seem right.
Well, hey, speaking of a roster decision, how about Noah Vonleh tonight?
I remain interested in Noah Vonleh.
He just hustles, man.
Yeah. I was shocked because I was so ready to write off Noah Vonleh after the preseason. Like, I know he had flashes, but I didn't expect to see anything out of him. And I don't know, he looked really good tonight. He had what was he? 12 points, 10 rebounds, a couple of assists in there too.
Yeah, he's an incredible rebounder. His rebounding is remarkable.
He's so strong in the post. Did you see the way he was like boxing out Alex Len? It was unbelievable.
And again, I keep wanting to like not get too excited, because when we get excited about something our players did, then you say something like boxed out Alex Len, and then I realize it wasn't really that fantastic.
Are you
telling me Alex Len is not a good NBA player? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh no, never. He's so bad. I was watching Alex Len tonight, and I was confused when the Suns took him a while back, and I was confused all over again today. And I was like, I understand it's the Hawks. I understand how terrible the Hawks are, but even still, I was like, I don't get how this guy's starting. I really don't understand it.
Man. He stinks.
But anyway, enough about him.
The difference when we're talking about our general excitement about this game, which obviously we understand, the Knicks played the worst team in the league. The Knicks are still going to be bad. The things that we're getting excited about are not unsustainable things, because we're getting excited about a nice game from Noah Vonleh. We're getting excited about a nice game from Allonzo Trier. We're not getting excited about the Knicks potentially making a playoff run or anything like that. We're getting excited about the performances on a micro level, which is exactly how we should be going through the season. And we're also getting excited about what we see from the coaching staff, what we see from the general energy that seems to be just coursing through the veins of this team, which was great to see in the debut at MSG, because the crowd's into it. They totally had the crowd on their side in the second quarter, which really propelled them to that immense comeback after being down in the first quarter. Just an awful start. So top to bottom, we are getting excited about the right things, and we're not letting ourselves just careen off into dreamland about any sort of craziness that could happen this year, because that's not what we should expect.
Well, my other big takeaway from today was just the body language that David Fizdale was giving off was so excellent. And you could see it. There was one point, I think it was Enes Kanter, got called. I don't exactly remember what the play was, but I think it was just a really stagnant, offensive play that got called for. They called a timeout or something. But Fizdale, looked really aggravated at Kanter, and Kanter went up to him. And they kind of talked for a second, and then everything kind of cooled off for a second. The camera goes back to Fizdale, and you just see him like a couple of seconds after the play, giving him like a thumbs up afterwards or something like that. The most positive coach I've seen in a long time out there, and I think that's going to have a big impact on how these guys start to gel with each other, because they look like a streaky team. They look like a team, especially at the beginning of this game. You could tell that when one person's not scoring, nobody's scoring, and when one person is scoring, they all start getting hot at the same time. So you really need that camaraderie. I think it's going to play a lot into the season.
Did you see how excited he got after Knox's and one?
Yeah,
that second floater he hit. I mean, when was the last time we saw a coach get that excited? To your point, when is the last time we saw a coach get that?
I saw one face.
Animated
I saw one face out of Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah, Woody's a good one. Yeah, Matt, Woody's a good one. Woody was pretty animated.
It's Woody because Fisher certainly wasn't. Kurt Rambis certainly wasn't. And Hornacek, I don't think he ever changed his expression on the sidelines.
No.
Hornacek just looked like he shit his pants the entire time he coached the Knicks.
He was actively shitting his pants while coaching that team. He took a shit on the floor most of the time while he was coaching that team.
It's the first coach that I think since Fisher took over, I feel like this is the first coach that's coaching the Knicks I actually feel like has a competent grasp on what his job should be.
And that's the sign of a potential culture change and why you'd be excited for the future of this team. I think there's still going to be moments this year when I'm frustrated with the coaching aspect of Fizdale, just because I didn't disagree with his lineup choices, and obviously it worked wonders tonight, and clearly it's something that propelled this team to victory, and it was great. And Knox struggled, so it definitely helped in potentially sparking a fire under him moving forward. But I'm curious to see how these rotation minutes keep sprouting up, because we saw 6 Knicks come off the bench tonight. So we saw 11 total guys play. That's a lot to have in a rotation. So I want to see how he puts these guys out there. We saw Frank Ntilikina play alongside Burke, play alongside Baker, play alongside Trier. We saw 3 guard lineups that are probably going to be featured a lot because Frank Ntilikina is that guy that can be the third guard in those lineups. So I might have some frustrations with him in terms of lineup choices, but for the energy he brings, for the mentality that he is instilling in this team to run, to let his wings handle the ball, could not be more on board with those things.
Was there
also?
I'm sorry, Kyle. Was there any big takeaway that we saw from Frank Ntilikina playing out on the wing today? Did anything look different compared to how he had looked earlier in preseason?
Honestly, I thought that was from what we saw last year, all we have to go off of. I thought that was a really standard Frank Ntilikina game. Is the best way I could word it, because it was a really just regular Frank game.
Well, he played 33 minutes and he had 5 points. So yes, that's correct.
Because I mean, there was a couple of defensive plays that we tweeted out too. Like it was just a really he made his impact defensively. He made guys work there. He forced a couple of turnovers, which you always want to see. Played fantastic on-ball defense. Did 1 or 2 nice things offensively. He was okay on the boards today, 5 rebounds. Nothing else.
I mean, the one thing that I do appreciate that I keep seeing out of him is him being able to play defense both at the rim and at the top of the arc. I mean, there's few players in the league who can actually do that competently. And Frank to be doing that at whatever position you want to put him at, that's a really good sign moving forward. But yeah, the offense just was not there tonight. He was pretty invisible.
He did have some opportunities as a ball handler, but most of those opportunities went to other guys as the game went on. More like, Burke and Trier and those other guards.
Burke had a nice little game.
He did. And I've been on record saying that I don't think Trey Burke is all that good, but I liked it tonight. And I've always said that my bold prediction was that I don't think he's playing a big role for the Knicks as the season goes on, but I liked what I saw. And if he I just love the 2 for 3 from 3. That's perfect. Like if he can just turn, he takes 11 shots, 3 of them are threes. Like sign me up for that. Like this is what you need.
That's exactly what we hope for.
It's perfect. And if he's doing that, then there's no reason for me to have that prediction. I can give it up after game 1 that he won't be a decent role player for this team, which is all that we're asking of him.
Well, yeah. In some ways, you're right with that, where I think that that's exactly what his best role would be, is just being a solid role player for this team. And it's John is talking shit in fantasy right now about me, and I'm not having it. But
Alfred Payton had a triple-double tonight for him.
I know. And Jess is killing me right now.
The Alfred Payton.
The one and only.
I know. Anyway, listen, Trey Burke, the thing with Trey Burke is that I would love to see him be just a role player for the team. I get really worried with Trey Burke when he's taking the ball up the court every possession. And then when the team is kind of out of sync, what does he do but go straight at the rim? And sometimes that's a good thing, but a lot of times it's not a great thing. And I just don't trust him as being that primary ball handler yet, which is why I wish somebody that like Ntilikina got the start there instead of him, because I would love to see what he looks like coming off the bench more.
And he's still got time with some bench units, which is what we're going to have to keep an eye on too, because you'll see plenty of lineups with Burke, but then it'll be Trier, Knox, Courtney Lee when he's healthy, Noah Vonleh. So that's what you got to be looking out for, is these lineup choices that Fizdale elects to make with his guards, because the starters are the starters. And if that unit's going to end up sticking to there, I know the second quarter was basically completely a bench unit. So that's the kind of thing you need to keep an eye on. What kind of situations the starters are being put into to be a leading scorer in a second unit potentially. And that's where you hate to see the struggles of Kevin Knox, because ideally he's the guy that you hope could lead a second unit before he eventually joins the starting lineup, should he begin to progress more after a tough first game at the Garden.
He did. I will say this for Fizdale, though. He did kind of do that with Hardaway and Cantor. He did make sure that one of them, very, very obviously, I feel like that's something we've complained about the last couple of years, that none of the coaches were ever able to figure out, was that your scorers, one of them should always be on the floor because you need scoring. That's how basketball works.
Well, it was always the Westbrook Durant problem with the Thunder, right? For some reason, they would have lineups where both of those guys would be out, and you'd just be sitting there like, why is this happening? And obviously the Knicks are that to a much lesser degree. But I think generally there shouldn't really be a time when you have an all-bench unit out there. I just don't believe in that as a basketball team. But with the Knicks, with them having a bunch of young guys that need to be given opportunities, it doesn't really bother me that much.
No, but that said, I do like the balance that they had tonight. Obviously, it works well when you score 126 points and, damn near 50 in the second quarter, because then there's opportunities abound for everybody. But, for the one game meaningful sample that we have to go off of, it was nice. I enjoyed it.
And how about the brief bit of resiliency from this Knicks team? Because in the third quarter, we've all seen the Knicks completely collapse in third quarters.
Third quarter of doom. The infamous third quarter of doom.
That's what it is. They do it better than no one else. The exact opposite of the Golden State Warriors.
Like clockwork. Like it doesn't. It never matters. It never matters the players or the coaches.
I'm pretty sure the Knicks are the exact opposite of the Golden State Warriors. So I think we need to back that up a little bit there, because that makes a lot of sense.
People forget the Knicks led the Warriors at halftime 2 games last year. People forget this. People aren't talking about this.
No, it's really, you hate to see it. You do.
But the Knicks were only up by 13 in the third quarter and then managed to pull away again and really solidify a victory. You never know. Maybe last year that's a team that just kind of says, we're going to give this game away again because we're used to failing in the third quarter. This is the kind of thing that for a young team, if they had let that game slip away from them in the third quarter, if that all of a sudden becomes a 6-point game or even an 8-point game or a 10-point game from a 13, that makes a huge difference. To know that they can put a game away, to get that first win under their belt in front of the home fans at the Garden, and then going to Brooklyn on Friday, which is a very winnable game. It's good for this young team to be given opportunities to have some confidence and to know that they can win basketball games, despite also knowing deep within themselves that they don't really have any chance this year to make any big noise. This is what you want from a young team. This is what you want from your first-year head coach to really drive home that culture change you spent all summer talking about.
I mean, it looked like he backed it up today, Again, it's a long season. I think I was talking to Giberman on Twitter, And he was not going on, but he had a couple of tweets about how nicely done Fizdale did with the lineup tonight. And I was like, while I agree, I don't want to go crazy with the praises and then be like furious in 12 games when he's doing all the stuff that we hate again. But for what we have to go off of, it's hard not to be impressed. He really followed through on a lot.
And keep shooting the threes. That's all I'm saying. We talked about this.
Well, that and you want to give your little I saw you tweet about it before, your transition points or fast break points stat. I think that was from the first half.
Yes. So I think, funny enough, they ended up with the same amount of transition points in the entire game after I tweeted this. So it almost worked out perfectly, but it doesn't work out as well when you're trying to do it as a post-game stat. But anyways, halfway through the second quarter, the Knicks had 11 fast break points. Last year, they averaged 8.6 fast break points for the entire game. So this is a team we already saw in the preseason that was making it a priority to push the basketball. And we saw in that second quarter, they were buzzing, absolutely buzzing all over the floor. Steal, transition, Hardaway, Ntilikina, work it. Get it into fast. Get it into a fast motion where you can start to get easy buckets. That's the way that you can do this. And Hardaway is the one that needs to lead that charge because he's their best transition scorer by far. There's not a close second. So having a guy that can lead that charge and then you can rely on is nice because we know about Hardaway's inconsistency, but there's nothing that can be inconsistent about transition scoring. It's getting the basketball, it's pushing it up the floor, and that's what we love to see tonight, and we hope that continues. And there's no reason why we should think that won't keep up as the season goes along.
I echo everything you're saying about transition. It's just like you want to see them move fast. I feel like the Knicks have almost been kind of, I mean, obviously the last couple of years have not been the finest in the Knicks catalog to choose from. But I feel like they've definitely not kept up with the rest of the league in terms of pace. And you see it affected them night to night. And maybe it just took a full culture change, but it's really great, especially that second quarter. It's really great to see them pushing it like that. And yeah, I think that's going to be the thing that gets everybody motivated and everybody moving. And that's the thing that got everyone hot tonight. And that's why you have guys like Trier finishing with like 15 points. And you have, Vonleh having the game that he did. And Hezonja was able to get into it at the end of the game. And, and everyone's just kind of grooving at that point. I think that being able to play at a faster pace is going to affect that greatly.
It's infectious. Transition play is infectious. That's how you get a team going. This is how college teams play. They try to run in transition because that's how you get a team to be motivated to run. And the Knicks have plenty of young guys that can fill those roles and be that kind of guy for a team that can just establish this part of their game because it's something we haven't seen from the Knicks in past years. Let's talk briefly about one Mario Hezonja because I wrote a piece earlier today, just some brief questions about what to expect for the Knicks season. And Hezonja is one guy I targeted because we saw him struggle in preseason play to the point where we were basically worried about what kind of role he would fill and if he could be a guy they could rely on. And understanding that it's preseason and this is a guy that has 220 NBA games under his belt already, so we probably shouldn't put that much stock in. But on the same token, we still need to understand he's on a new team and he needs to fit in if he's going to play. It was great to see him have an opportunity when the game was basically already out of hand to nail some shots. He got hot in the fourth quarter. He's a guy they're going to need off the bench. They need his shooting. When Courtney Lee's back, they're also going to need his shooting off the bench, however long he is for the Knicks. But what do you guys see from Hezonja tonight as the game winded down? And what do we expect from him moving forward?
I mean, what I see with him at first is just like, I get frustrated because it looks like he kind of plays with a bit of a reckless abandon. Like he's definitely willing to take a shot and he's definitely willing to drive the lane, but he just seems like half of his shots are totally contested with someone in front of his face. Or like when he tries to go to the basket, he'll just rush right into somebody and just knock him down for the foul. It's just I feel like he doesn't have a very great grasp on what's going on out there. There was even some preseason moments where he was right underneath the rim and he wouldn't put it up and things of that nature. It's just I don't feel like his awareness is totally there when he's out there. But that being said, he does have moments where he looks really good and he puts in some really good 3-pointers, or he's able to connect with his teammates well. It's just, I wish I could see. He's not quite Michael Beasley awareness out there, but I wish I could see him being a little bit more dependent on his teammates when he's going through the motions.
I thought he was okay even before the garbage time. I mean, when he came in that stretch to begin the second quarter, I thought he was fine. I think he drilled a 3. He had a nice little dump off. I think it was to Vonleh, if I'm not mistaken, for a nice slam where he drew the D in. He went on the left side of the rim and then did a little Steve Nash type swing around pass to get it into Vonleh. Like, that kind of stuff, just sort of the same kind of way I feel about Knox, except Mario is, we figure him to be more of a playmaker. You just got to fit in where you can. And like the preseason, obviously it was rough for him. And that's going to be rough for, any team in the league, especially when you just join an entirely new team. But he looked more comfortable tonight to me. I mean, I know he didn't really shoot that well. I think he was 6 of 14. But he made his threes. I know most of that came later on, but just the way he was moving around today, he just looked better to me. I don't know how else to really describe it other than that. Like, same thing with Knox. Like, I mean, I know the results aren't fully there other than his garbage time buckets, really, but he just looked like he made more sense of the offense today, which is encouraging for the outlook of the season.
That's what we're asking for. Your boy Luka's on the TV right now, Kyle. By the way, just had a great assist to DeAndre for his first NBA assist.
How many seconds did it take him to throw that assist? 5, maybe 6 seconds?
No, it took him 0.2. I timed it. I got a stopwatch right here next to me.
That's how I know you're lying, because I have a bottle of molasses right next to me, and I just dropped it from about waist level down to the floor, and it took 3, maybe 4 seconds to hit the ground, and that's exactly how fast Luka Doncic is. So
I think, Kyle, we need to unearth something here. I think you need to also hate Kristaps Porzingis because you clearly just have a vendetta against foreign NBA players.
Oh, this is
Jokic, Doncic.
I think about Canner. What do you think about Frank Ntilikina?
What about Canner? What about Hezonja?
Whoa.
Huh?
I don't like slow, overhyped players.
Doncic
is what it comes down to.
You Marcus Saul hater.
Yeah, what is good?
You don't make me this xenophobic basketball fan out of nowhere. You sons of bitch.
I'm so sorry. I just had to say it because the people need to know. It's clearly a vendetta. So just so Kyle's reputation is established.
Yeah, you guys have to understand. Hold on, just real quick, and I'm not going to get into a whole tangent.
Pages Stojakovic hating asshole.
All of these things that I get assigned, like that I'm this Jokic hater, that I'm this Doncic hater, like all of this comes from me saying one incredibly valid thing, and then the rest
one thing about Jokic?
No way.
You said one thing about Jokic.
Yes. Hold on.
You've been assigned a Jokic hater.
The origin of where this started. Last summer, I didn't hate Jokic, right? All I said was when I saw a bunch of lists coming out that he was like top 15, I said, hey, he's not a top 15 player. And then everybody dumped on me for saying he's not a top 15 player. And then when I got to defend myself and say, well, I was like, well, he had a small sample of 40 games of offensive excellence the year before. Maybe we should wait to see more of that with the higher volume. And, oh, yeah, he doesn't play defense. And then I got pummeled, right? But that's a valid criticism. That's not me saying I hate Jokic. That's like, well, it's a small sample. That's what we always talk about.
But
and he also doesn't play
you
defense.
Leaned into that. Don't give me that.
Eventually, yeah, because of how over the top people went. But then the Doncic thing happened the same way. Doncic was like my top 1 or 2 guy. I didn't really have a strong opinion. I just thought, well, he's clearly not going to be past 3. I just thought that was pretty obvious. And then when I got asked why I felt he could go as low as 3, I said, well, I have concerns about his athleticism transferring over to the NBA as well as everybody thinks it will. But I think he's probably has the safest, highest floor of anybody in the draft. And I think he's going to be, at worst, a very good player. And I got pummeled because I didn't see superstar potential in Luka Doncic. And I was like, guys, like having a valid concern in a young player or a prospect does not mean I hate the player or the prospect. It simply does not. That's all.
And your tweets that are subsequently followed by that would lead people to believe that you do, in fact, hate those people.
Well, that's because, again, when people go like grossly over the top, then those people deserve to be made fun of. Like
all right,
nobody.
All right. We've talked about this long enough, anyways. I just wanted to bust Kyle's balls a little bit about the Doncic thing. So let's talk about someone that I spent all offseason talking about, and that I was absolutely thrilled had a great game tonight, because we talked about him a little bit at the top. But Tim Hardaway Jr. Is this something that you think he can at all not replicate, but do you think we have any reason to believe that he can be a consistent scorer this year for this team if he's used like he was tonight?
Yeah, I'll buy into that. I think he might take it upon himself to lead this team a little bit more than we're giving him credit for this year. The guy's been in the league since, what did he get drafted, 2013? Been in the league, good. Go. It's like his sixth season now. He's getting on in age. He's at a point where he can start leading a team, and I think this is a big step for him in his career to be able to, be one of the go-to scorers on any given night, not just be a player who kind of fades into the background. I think he wants to come back from that injury-riddled year he had last year, and I think he's got a lot to prove. And I think he's going to be streaky. He's not going to be putting 31 points in every night, but I think his impact is going to show a little bit more on the court this year.
I'm going to maintain. We've talked. Sorry, Kyle, you want to go?
Oh, no, go ahead.
He's still reeling from the Doncic hate. I
fuming.
Want to maintain that I think that we need to understand what he is as a player, and he's always going to be frustrating to watch. But I also think we need to put this stuff in perspective. For a Knicks team that isn't going to be good, we're looking at a guy that averaged 17.5 points last year on less than desirable shooting. Sure. So we mentioned it before. If he can shoot 44, 45% from the floor and 34 from three and average 18, perhaps 20 points per game for this team, sign us up for that for this season. Because you know what that does? That makes it even more so. If you think that the Knicks are going to end up landing one of these big free agents, which we all hope, Tim Hardaway Jr. probably isn't a guy that's going to be on this team, and the Knicks are going to have to move him somehow. The better he plays, the more chance there is that some team looks at him and says, maybe he could be good for us. I still don't think that's a likely possibility, but hoping for him to play well should be always on our minds and is not a bad thing by any means, unless, of course, he pulls a sophomore year Tim Hardaway and messes up the Knicks draft position against the Atlanta Hawks that he eventually went to. But that's neither here nor there. We can expect him to be a better player if Fizdale puts him in the pick and roll situations. I'm going to stand by that. And I'm so glad that he said that in the offseason. And I was so glad to see him used in that role tonight. Kyle, what do you think?
No, I mean, I agree with almost everything you're saying. And I think besides just being put into better situations, that plays right into what we talked about most of the summer, which was if he just shoots slightly better from the floor. And I know you and I both believe that his field goal percentages from, both the field as a whole and from distance last year were sort of an outlier because they were a little too low compared to his prior years. And I just think we both expected those to bounce back just normally. But if you factor that in with being put in positions to succeed with getting cleaner shots off, then yeah, I mean, I would expect him to play pretty damn well, and I would start to believe in him as a more legitimate player in this league. Not like not quite a star, but like that tier right below that. Like, well, he's a very good player. Like, you're never gonna quite say he's a star, but a very good player. And I think if he just shoots around those averages, I think that's what you get. So again, tonight was obviously encouraging. He boomed for sure, but just the type of shots he was taking. And the other thing too that we, to your point about being put in this position to succeed, is Fizdale's a run and gun kind of coach. Like, he wants these guys running all the time, and that's, as we all know and have admitted, that's Timmy's biggest strength is transition.
Right up his alley. Up his alley.
So I mean, just being able to get a couple of easy fast break points a game is going to help a lot. And just pushing the pace like that too, he's probably going to draw more fouls like we saw tonight, because the way you become an effective player is just shooting better percentages. It's also getting to the line to get those free points, because that's how you become more efficient. When you have, that's like the Kevin Durant special, the James Harden special. When you have, so many more points than you do shot attempts because you've gotten to the free throw line so many times. So that's what we can hope for. How far he can take it, I don't know. But I think just the playing style that they're going to put him in this year, match with his strength, I think that's going to be the combination for what we hope to be a really good year for him.
Kyle, I think a lot of it comes down to what you were just saying a second ago. It has to do with pace. I think this team's going to play a lot faster, and I think we've seen that tonight. I mean, obviously the 49-point second quarter speaks for itself, but, this team looks like they might try to play a little bit faster than we're used to, and I think that's going to reflect well on everybody. I think that's going to especially reflect well on Tim Hardaway Jr. He's just going to be able to play so much faster, and he's going to be able to, he's going to have more of those opportunities in transition. He's going to have more chances to get to the rim instead of just settling for a poor three-pointer. It's gonna affect everybody on the team, but him especially.
Yeah, and think about how much more open the floor figures to be under Fizdale. Last year with Hornets, there's a lot of really clunky, slow sets. That was one thing we bitched about, not just with Timmy, but also with Porzingis, was why aren't they running action for KP? Why are they always just dumping the ball into KP and making him create and forcing these weird mid-range turnaround shots that he can make for sure, but that's not really his strength. Why are we not playing to his strength? So I think that's another thing too, is just in the trying to put his Timmy season last year in context, is they weren't really working with a scheme that fit most of the players that they were relying on. So just being able to really open it up now, it's got to be a sigh of relief. If I'm Tim Hardaway Jr. and even KP looking at this style of play, I would be pretty confident that when I return, it's going to be something that I could fit right into.
Yeah, KP has to be excited about this, just the playing style.
He's an up-and-down player. We saw that last year. He was forcing that action by himself, single-handedly last year with those blocks and then getting back down the court for a slam or a three. He's going to fit right into this offense once he's healthy. Whether that's end of this year or next year, he's going to fit right in.
Let me present this question, because we spent Monday's pod, talking to some of our staff about predictions. I know Corbo didn't get to go on record, but does game number 1 affect your outlook on this season at all?
I'd say no. I mean, not. It's enough to begin establishing a pattern. If we rattle off 5 straight or something like that, then maybe you start thinking. But it's enough to maybe get you thinking a little bit. But no, I still stand. If I got to go on record, I kind of looked at all the teams in the league today, and I looked at all the. I counted up exactly how many wins how many games are going to get played in an NBA season, and I pretty much stand pat at the Knicks are going to win 26 games this year. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. But for right now, I'm not changing anything.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, the Hawks are going to be one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NBA.
I think they're pretty clearly the worst. I don't think there's a close second even. They're so bad.
Which is great because we get to start off so happy this year,
Exactly.
No, I mean, it's sort of, I think I said it on the last part of the pod before. I'd hope that one thing that they're going to win games this year. I hope that they beat the bad teams. I know it's going to be unpopular for the tanking crowd, but I hope they beat the bad teams. I hope they beat the shit out of the bad teams like they did tonight, because I hope they get their asses kicked when they play the good teams. Establishing a good culture, a winning culture, is taking care of business against lesser opponents, not playing down to them. So even with this roster that the Knicks have, which isn't great, we know that certain guys can go off and get buckets, and if Fizdale's playing to their strengths correctly, then in my opinion, this is probably a biased homer opinion, but you should be able to go out and kick the shit out of the Atlanta Hawks almost every time. You should always be able to, maybe not like this, you're not going to score 50 points in a quarter, that's an outlier for sure, but you should be able to go out and kick the shit out of a Hawks or the Kings. That, to me, is important. And we can spar about the tanking and if I should be rooting for that or not. But I really hope that they beat the crap out of all these bad teams the remainder of the year.
This team just isn't talented enough for us to have to root for a tank, I don't think. So we're going to see them be able to beat teams like the Hawks and the Magic and potentially the Nets, just because their playing style might lend itself towards that. So tonight they were able to ride a great Garden crowd in a special Tim Hardaway performance, which we won't get every night, certainly, and a variety of other factors to a nice victory. And like you mentioned, they're going to play enough tough teams. They're going to have enough losses this season. we shouldn't be all in a tizzy over one win. And I would imagine there are very few Knicks fans after tonight that would be already on the tank. I think it's way too early in the season to be thinking of that. And it's also important to remember lottery odds do flatten this year. So the Knicks could still end up with the 5th worst record and have a better shot at a first pick than they have in the past. So it's not something that I even want to have in my mind right now, honestly, besides watching, because you guys know I'm a big college basketball guy, so I'm excited for this crop of prospects. But in a Knicks sense, it's not even something we should have on our minds until like game 20, to be honest with you, or even after that. It's not like, let's just, at some point, this becomes a sport, right? And we want to find the little joys in it that make it fun. This is the perfect example of what makes the sport of basketball fun. It's watching the Garden come alive for a young team that is going to be bad. It's watching a couple rookies try to make their way in the league. It's watching one of the undrafted guys that came from Arizona after a bunch of turmoil in his personal life and in his basketball life have just an incredible dunk that he's able to dap up Nate Robinson. Those are the reasons we love basketball. So let's not worry about the tanking thing for a while, please.
Well, I was going to say, it's just, to me, there's different kinds of bad teams, right? Like, there's Jose Calderon, Shane Larkin, bad teams,
Cole Aldrich
right?
his respect, please.
Holy
Cole Aldrich. You know what I mean? Like, there's that bad team.
Respect on Alexi Shvetsny.
Where you look at that and go, okay, there's no future here. There's no hope. You know, all that we need you guys to do is lose as many games as possible to give us a good pick, right? But then there's a year like this, which to me is a different kind of bad team. This is where it's like okay, they're still not going to win a lot of games, but you have your stable of young guys that you're going to start betting on. You know, you have your Frank Ntilikinas, your Kevin Knoxes, your Mitchell Robinsons, Allonzo Triers. Like, those are guys that look like they can legit play. And now you got to figure out if you can develop them and turn them into something meaningful, right? So if they start to overperform, if Frankie suddenly becomes a starting point guard, takes a couple of strides, if, you know, Trey Burke maintains his level of play from last year, like, yeah, I mean, I would root for that. Like, how many years have we been rooting for a tank? How many years have we been rooting for a shitty team? And that's not to say this team won't be shitty, but if they were to overperform, it's different than in 2014 when we all got mad because Tim Hardaway Jr. and Langston Galloway, you know, eked out a couple of meaningless wins at the end of the year. Like, this would be different. To me, I'd be like, well, this is encouraging for next year. Oh, this is encouraging when we have KP back and this figures to be a really good team, whether or not we get the free agent that we want. Like, I would welcome them overperforming and winning a couple games that they shouldn't, if that's what it means. It's different than like a bullshit Shane Larkin 20-point outburst that results in a win. Like, this actually would mean something, you know, moving forward. And I think that's important to separate too for the people that are only looking at the draft picks.
Absolutely right. And let's keep that mentality going on during the rest of the season. And hopefully when it gets to February, March, April, we can just be feeling in a similar sense. Just a general, let's see these young guys perform. Because even the last few years, last year, I guess you saw some performances, but it's just been like a cloud hanging over. Like, let's get losses last year with the KP injury. The couple years before, them still having vets on the team. And it just felt weird to tank because they were just bad in general. But this year, the direction is clear. Any last thoughts on the game?
No, I'm just still scared about what you just said now. I don't even want to think about where this team's going to be in February. It's not going to be good. No, it's not even just that. It's just this team has proven to be so unpredictable in the past. I mean, Derrick Rose went fucking AWOL, like, at one point a couple of years ago.
Yeah, again, I was at that game.
Oh yeah, you were. You saw it. It's just like, I don't know. I really, really, really hope that we're still sharing a similar opinion, you know, at this point in February, and that they haven't, you know, done something to completely blow all this shit up. I feel confident.
It's always possible.
I feel confident. I feel good in the team we have now. I feel good about where our young players are going to be heading. I just really, really, really hope I still feel the same in February.
An injury is always the X factor that can make a season go from
we know all
hopeful
about February injuries.
Exactly. So that's what could happen if Kevin Knox ever went down, or if Frank ever went down.
Good Lord, man! You just gonna speak that evil into the world like that?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's always something that we need to consider. but I'm saying it's you're the one that brought up where they're going to be in February. I just said we want to have.
I don't know. I'm with Ant on this one. You've had the gloves off this entire podcast, and I, for one, am starting to feel uncomfortable.
You know what? I was feeling real happy after this Knicks thing, and you guys are just going to bring me down. You're just going to tear me down to your level. This is what's going on. Huh?
Let's. We can end on a good note. We can end.
My last note about the game is is I quite simply am falling in love with Allonzo Trier. That's it. I am.
Yeah.
You know, and what a ways we came from making fun of him in summer league for not passing.
I know. I think that's the first clip we had. It was like, okay, so we're going to call him Tunnel Vision Trier. Okay, got it.
Oh, you got.
Oh my God.
I remember you.
Make your dogs that aggressive.
Your dogs eating each other?
Yeah, what's going on over there?
They're having a small disagreement right underneath me right now. But
Mason's pissed. That's what's going on. Okay, got it.
No, it's not even Mason this time somehow. But anyway, no. But remember, you got lambasted during summer league because you tweeted like one comment about Trier having the tunnel vision, and everyone, he's not a point guard. He's supposed to score. Do you know what a guard is supposed to? And they let you have it. And then after that, he played really well, and then we looked quite silly. So, I'm just gonna not talk anymore because these dogs.
That's all good. No, No, go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say one last note because Mitch Robinson did only play 1 minute. It looks like he may have re-aggravated that injury, so we may not see him for a couple games if they want to just give him time to stay healthy. Just something to keep an eye on.
That's all right. We'll let Vonleh cook for a little bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
More like Noah Vonleh.
Yeah. Not like Kanye, but like yay.
Did you bring up Kanye on this podcast? What is going on?
No, I mean like not like Kanye though.
So just because you said not like Kanye, that makes it okay?
Yeah, I'm speaking ill on him.
All right, let's give a brief preview for Friday's game against the Nets because we're not going to talk to you guys again till Monday after the Knicks have played the Nets and then the Celtics on Saturday. So the Nets lost to the Pistons tonight. Looking at the game in Brooklyn, anything we're looking for? I know we've seen them play the Nets in the preseason. I know we've seen that fraud Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
that
we're going to be looking for fringe all-star Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy you're keeping an eye on. But anything you're looking out for on Friday's game?
Not particularly. I mean, like, I would like to see... I'd like to see another strong performance out of Vonleh, especially if Robinson stays down for a little bit. I'd obviously like to see a repeat or not a repeat performance, but like an improved performance out of Kevin Knox. We'll see if Frank can make himself stand out a little bit more on offense. I mean, like pretty much everything that we've been wondering after game one. Now, I'd like to see some answers for on Friday. We're not going to get them all, but a couple of things to kind of shore me up going into the season. And yeah, I don't know. I'd like to squeeze a win out against Brooklyn. I don't like the Nets very much.
Pretty much the same thing that Corbo's saying. That to me, like my points are mostly going to be the same throughout the year, and that's Knox and Frank. Like, what are we doing? First of all, is the starting lineup going to be the same for game 2?
That's a great question.
Are we doing a matchup?
I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Are we going to do a matchup by matchup basis? Because the way that Fizdale talked about it after announcing it, sort of, I wouldn't say alluded to it, but he was kind of letting it on that. It seemed like case by case, like, oh, well, Knox might come back in when he earns it. So, well, what does that mean? You know what I mean? It's like, when is that going to happen? And even with the Frank at the 3 thing, it was like, well, Frank earned it. But then he also said, well, Frank's still going to have primary ball handler duties. It's like he's being kind of intentionally vague. So it sounds like he's going to just keep mixing it up. So that's why I know there was a lot of, let's say, backlash for the starting lineup when it was announced yesterday. But I mean, people were very opinionated one way or the other. So I don't want to put too much stock in that, I guess. But that's what I'm more curious about. What are they going to do with Frank and what are they going to do with Knox? Is Knox going to get going now? Our shot's going to start falling. We've seen kind of about a week and a half of this little slump. Is he going to start turning it around? And again, Frank, or are we going to see more out of him offensively? And where are they going to play him? Those are the things that I'm looking at because we know he's going to shut down that bum Spencer Dinwiddie. D'Lo still has yet to get going. Get a rough night tonight when they played the Pistons. So those are, again, what I'm keeping my eyes on. The point guard matchup and Kevin Knox, basically.
Dinwiddie popped off tonight, He had 23 points.
pretending it didn't happen because I can't make jokes, and anybody that listens to this is gonna at me tomorrow. So,
Corbo, edit that part out, okay?
Nope.
No chance.
All right, and then the Knicks have the Celtics on Friday. At least it's at the Garden, so you always have that hope. But that's always going to be a tough matchup, especially on a back-to-back. So you hope to see the young guys just have some more energetic performances over the next couple games, and we'll be able to revisit stuff on Sunday. Any parting thoughts? Any plugs?
Felt good to get a win out of Game 1.
Absolutely did.
That's all I got to say.
There's no doubt. Kyle.
Well, hold on. That's not all I'm going to say, but that's all I got.
Oh, geez. Okay, go for it.
No, I'm just going to plug real quick. Our recap is up right now. Who had the recap tonight?
I believe Kevin had the recap tonight.
Kevin did have the recap tonight. Look at that.
Recap.
Yep, so go check out the Knicks Wall recap for everything with the game there. Check out, we're going to have plenty going on with our Periscope before and after games. I know Kyle had one going tonight. We have Twitch streams going. We're going to be playing 2K because that's a ton of fun. That's more Kyle's, so, man. I'll let him speak on that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We had some internet issues today, and by we, I mean I. So
you did great.
No, certainly did not. So what we're going to try to do is, to the best of our abilities, we're going to try to be as consistent as we can. Is we're going to play a 2K matchup. Just any of the staff members of the game that's about to be played. We're going to try to do that as many games as we can. And then we're also going to try to do a little post-game stream. And we could either, just play that game over again or just basically we want to be able to give you guys extended time to talk to us. And that's what the Twitch stream is for. It's not just another show for us to talk to each other. Twitch is very interactive, as is Periscope, but Twitch is a little bit more fun because you get to watch a game. So we'd like to start transitioning to that. So if you want to just follow us there, it's very easy to find us. It's just twitch.tv/the Knicks Wall, I believe. So just hop in, subscribe there. We're looking to have a lot of fun with it. We'll want to do that with you guys. So that's pretty much it. And then I tweeted about it a few times. I said it on the Periscope. Make sure you add the voicemail number into your phones. So I'm going to say it now while we're on the pod, for those of you who may not have called in, or for those of you who may not have the number saved. I just want to make sure we always have that here. It's 727-859-7631. And just keep that in your phones. Anytime you have any sort of feeling on the Knicks, after tonight, you're probably excited like we are. We want to hear that. We want to hear your little rants and takes and things that excited you throughout the game. And then when we lose by 25 in 2 weeks to some random Detroit Pistons team or something like that, then we want to hear your angry, furious hot takes. Like, we want to hear everything you guys have to say. We're trying to give you guys the platform to do so. So the best ones generally we'll try to air, whether it's during the pod or at the end of the pod, but we're going to try to always incorporate those. So make sure you guys bring some heat and make sure you just constantly keep calling. We want to leave that line open for you guys as a way to get your voice heard on a platform that you deserve.
One other thing real quick while we're on that. It'd be really, really, really great if you all to head to iTunes and just give us that 5-star rating. That helps us out a lot getting to the top of the rankings and making sure that everyone knows about the TKW podcast. And keep hitting us up on Twitter. Man, you guys are great to talk to. And we have a lot of hot takes, and we know you guys do too, so let's go back and forth on them. Let us know what else you're looking for from us. If you got any merch ideas, drop them in there. We certainly want to hear what everyone's thinking. So
we're here to serve you guys. Yeah. So whatever you guys want to see or hear or even purchase from us.
We're just stoked in another season with y'all. That's really what it comes down to. So.
Yep, but that's about it. You got anything, Maddie?
No, I think you guys covered it. We got a lot of stuff in the works, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a great season. Like these guys said, nothing without you guys. So let's keep it up, keep interacting, and let's make it fun, baby. It's a long year. We're going to be together doing this thing until April. So let's go along for the ride. Let's make it a blast. What do you say?
I'm all about it.
With that being said, we'll talk to you guys on Monday.